Have you ever found yourself playing the massively successful computer game, The Sims 2, and thought, this is great, but I wish this game had worse graphics, a completely unrelated linear storyline, and a mafia murder side quest? No? Then you clearly were not one of the developers behind the absolute masterpiece that was The Sims 2 for the Nintendo DS. Come on, walk with me. In 2000, EA and Maxis put their heads together to create The Sims, a new take on the simulation genre, with involved relationships, home building mechanics, and a colorful cast of townsfolk to help you settle in. Although titles like SimCity and Little Computer People had previously outlined this style of gaming, The Sims advanced the concept and ended up in a league of its own among players. These companies had a big hit on their hands, and as we all know, the first thing you should do with a good idea is beat the shit out of it. The Sims spawned multiple expansion packs, but nowhere near as many as The Sims 4, which put the fear of God back in my bones, as well as a sequel aptly named The Sims 2. The Sims 2 improved upon an already well-done formula, adding hundreds of new interactions, better models, and richer life experiences for your sim. After its release in 2004, the positive feedback and climbing player numbers helped cement its place as a worthy Sim successor. For the Sims team, it seemed like there was nowhere to go but up, and they did go up with the release of The Sims 3, but they also went down quite a few bizarre side roads on the way there. Today, we will be heading down one of them ourselves, and diving into The Sims 2 for the DS, a game that was not, in fact, The Sims 2. To begin, I'm going to lay out some context for this game's existence, even though there isn't much of it. After the release of the first Sims game for PC, EA had already begun to map out various spin-off games for console sales. A console port for the first Sims game was released for the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox in 2003. It was later joined by The Sims Bustin' Out, a rags-to-riches style side game, in 2004. The Sims 1 port remained somewhat faithful to its PC ancestor, with a few key differences. The console version allowed for a fully 3D camera experience, making it more immersive, but due to the limitations of 2000's hardware, item limits and smaller Sim households were imposed, so customization suffered quite a lot. There were also elements worked in from optional PC expansion packs, like Live Enlarge and House Party. I know EA's finance guy is bawling his eyes out at the thought of including free content in a game. Only one floor could be made per house, and career options were whittled down from 10 to 6. Overall, it was The Sims, but marginally shittier. However, there was a 2-player mode as well as a story mode, which saw you go from living in your mom's house to buying a yacht. If only you could do that in real life. I guess you could at the time. Bustin' Out came between the original Sims and its sequel, but wasn't marketed as a mainline game or a port of any kind. It had a completely unique storyline, which involved Sims legend Malcolm Landgrab, who was a rich landlord, stealing items from his tenants who failed to pay their rent. Your objective as the player was to follow each career path, earning you enough cash to buy back the tenant's things, and eventually rip the rug out from Malcolm by evicting him from his own home. Props to The Sims for their evil landlord moment, honestly. Bustin' Out also had a free play mode, which was more akin to the original PC version of The Sims. Home customization and relationship building mechanics are worked into the game, so while it is a spin-off, it remains true to a lot of the core pieces of The Sims we know very well. The Sims 2, the next mainline installment, finally released in 2004 after much anticipation from fans of the first game. The Sims 2 carried on the 3D graphics from the console games, improving upon them to make a completely overhauled visual experience. More careers and sim-to-sim interactions, as well as new characters and furniture options, made the game's world feel exponentially bigger and better. It's a darling of the series, and actually took the time to create a better gameplay experience, which is crazy considering game studios no longer seem to know how to do that. With the positive attention received from both players and publications alike, sake, EA greenlit multiple Sims 2 ports, with both home and handheld consoles being on the list. But just as The Sims 2 and The Sims 2 DS are two different games, The Sims 2 and The Sims 2 for home consoles are also not the same. Confused? Yeah, me too, but I have to attempt to explain this, so get a notepad out. The Sims 2 for home consoles, such as the GameCube and PlayStation 2, bore quite a few similarities to the PC version. One noticeable change is that Sims can no longer get pregnant or adopt children. It also used free movement rather than point-and-click movement. It had a lot of the same issues as the Sims 1 console port, where it just didn't quite hit the same as the computer release. However, it was still a somewhat faithful adaptation of its namesake. The Sims 2 for DS was not. And get ready for this. Remember how I said handheld consoles plural? Would you believe me if I said that the Game Boy Advance and PSP versions of The Sims 2 weren't the same as the DS version or the home console versions? This script is making me want to die. Why did I do this? This video is about the DS version specifically, so I'll spare you the details on the other versions for now, but please know they are different. The home console versions were developed by Maxis, who also developed the mainline Sims games. All of the handheld console versions were developed by Amaze Entertainment, a now defunct video game company based out of Irvine, California. Amaze Entertainment wanted to lean into the more mysterious and bizarre corners of the Sims games, such as Belagoth's infamous disappearance, for their take on the series. These projects were allegedly inspired by H.P. Lovecraft and Stephen King's works, but a lot of the interviews surrounding the game seem to have been lost to time. I've seen multiple references to some sort of interview happening with the Amaze Entertainment team, but after scrounging around the internet for it, I've come up dry, which frankly adds to the weirdness of all of this. The Sims 2 for the DS begins with the usual Sims character creation screen, where you're able to customize a single avatar. No family, no children, no partner, no pets. Just one sim. The models are pretty standard for a DS game, but they also pull out a nasty fucking shimmy every once in a while. Truly sublime. The create a sim options aren't very plentiful, but you'll forget all about that soon enough. Trust me. Rather than individual personality traits, you can pick from 4 lifestyle options. Fortune, which lets you earn additional money from hotel guests, we'll get there. Popularity, which helps you improve relationships faster. Romance, which makes other Sims more keen to date you. And party, which we'll get to sanity too. You're immediately catapulted into Strangetown, where you find yourself wandering outside your car. The first face you meet, a cow farmer named Jebediah S. Jerky, asks why you could possibly be touring around these parts, as the town's been falling into desolation. You mention that your car is acting up, and he confirms that the engine has more holes than a donut shop. Jebediah then urges you to check into the local hotel, which happens to be just down the road from the two of you. This game works in real time, much like Animal Crossing, so if it's dark outside for you, it's likely dark in Strangetown as well. The moment you load into this game, the emptiness just hits you. It's vast somehow, but quiet, and the music welcoming you in is, well... You're surrounded by a small town center where the aforementioned hotel is located. When you head inside, you'll be greeted by a fed-up, nameless concierge. He quickly lets slip that his boss abandoned the entire hotel, and he hasn't received a paycheck in weeks. Even in The Sims Analog Horror Edition, you can't escape from your shitty boss. He'll ask you if you'd mind stoking the generator for him, which is found in the basement. This generator is powered by nuclear rods that can be picked up around the hotel. Just straight up radiation through the hands. Maybe I've watched too many of those like Kyle Hill videos on radiation, but that just, ugh, the image. Once you head down and fuel it up, you can find your way back to the lobby. The concierge from before will ask you if you dropped a note on the way in and hand you a letter, which is seemingly from the aforementioned hotel manager. The note reads, "There's a reason for everything, player. The sun shines, the earth spins, and smart people like you run hotels. Good luck. The citizens of Strangetown need you." Congratulations! You are now the owner of a rundown hotel, and this is actually a business management sim. Your job is simple: maintain the rooms, appease the guests, and upgrade your amenities. Oh, and stop the townsfolk from having psychotic episodes, ward off an alien emperor, and help a mafia kingpin attempt an assassination. You know how they use ketamine for depression now? Amaze Entertainment wasn't using it for depression. Your first task as manager is to clean the place up a bit, given out by our friend Jebediah. He asks you to vacuum the floors in exchange for fixing your car, which, spoilers, he does not fucking do. Vacuuming is a recurring task in the game, as piles of dirt will show up throughout the hotel fairly often. You can sometimes pick objects or simoleons out of the dirt as well for some extra cash. Please excuse my demonstration of vacuuming here. The controls on this game are abysmal. They're so bad. Once you've gotten rid of the grime, we get to meet the mayor, Honest Jackson. Mayor Jackson has heard the news about the manager's disappearance, and he talks himself into quite the spiral regarding Strangetown's future. His monologue prompts the entrance of Mama Hogg, my personal favorite character in the entire game, who tries to get his attention. The concierge replies with, "He's gone bonkers again, Mrs. Hogg," which I want as a tramp stamp. She explains that the only way to bring him back down is to restrain him during his emotional outbursts, which brings up a minigame. It's relatively simple. The first game you play is a tutorial, but you'll need to memorize the actions and which buttons to press when they play. In the non-tutorial version of this game, if you react correctly, Mayor Jackson's bar will go down. If you react incorrectly, your sanity bar will go down. Right, let me explain sanity. You wouldn't think I would know how to do that. In this game, sanity replaces the usual Sims need bars. The sanity bar is filled up the same way any need meter would be, like showering, sleeping, and eating. You may occasionally get a mood lit up over your head for a certain activity, and you must go do that activity quickly, or your sanity meter will rapidly deplete. You can also refill it very quickly by punching a slab of meat in the freezer. Beating. Oh my god. I think I need to die, like I'm not joking. If your sanity meter hits 0, you'll be carried off by the Cowboy Grim Reaper and dumped back in the hotel or put in jail. Anyway, other townsfolk will have this minigame interaction come up as well. It's nearly the same each time, but it can be listed as calm down, restrain, cheer up, or impress, with different physical cues each time. It's also used for the romance system, which there isn't much of one, but whatever. Once you get Mayor Jackson restrained, he'll tell you that the hotel is Strangetown's biggest income source, and that it needs to be gussied up stat. Mama Hogg will suggest you start with building a casino. The town's carpenter, Tristan Legend, is the perfect fit for the job, but according to Mama Hogg, he's in the desert, and you'll need to go find him. But first, Mayor Jackson shows you to the manager's suite. You can decorate this room, but it's functional as is, and where you'll be keeping up on your needs. You're set up with a fridge, toilet, shower, couch, and sink, and that's about it. Trekking off toward the desert seems straightforward until you cross the barrier and your sanity starts to drain quickly. You cannot stay in the area for too long because of this. If your sanity meter hits 0 in the desert, you'll be abducted by aliens and then plopped back in your hotel room. Tristan is found waiting for you in the sand, and he's also going through it. You ever caught a meteor with your bare hands? It takes time to get used to the heat and the pain, but it's a good cure for loneliness. Why am I lonely? Well, I'll say this. It ain't an easy thing to see the woman you love carried off by a pack of giant scorpions. You'll go through the minigame again, and after Tristan is calm, he'll direct you to grab a permit at City Hall. Permits cost money, of course. You have enough to cover the first one, but you can also forage gourds and sell excess nuclear rods for more cash. Acquiring these room permits is a main focus in the game. You'll need to collect them to build up your hotel further. When you buy your first permit, the casino will be built immediately, but all new rooms after that take 8 real-life hours to build. The casino allows you to gamble, as well as play a card game called Keelhaul and Cards to earn some simoleons. It's actually a pretty solid minigame. It takes a good amount of time to clear the board. But oh no, a massive quake shakes the hotel. You and Tristan rush out to the lobby to meet Emperor Zizzle, your new alien overlord. Zizzle plans to colonize Strangetown and make you his new royal subject. According to Tristan, this just occurs every once in a while. He says that you can stave the Emperor off with water, as that's an alien weakness. Giuseppe, another recurring character, will sell you a water gun for the last of your precious simoleons. With this gun, you can blast Zizzle back to his home planet and go on with your day. This just continues to happen. I don't know. Now that Zizzle is gone and the hotel is looking a bit sharper, you can begin hosting guests. Giuseppe heads on in to be your first, who you'll personally check in. He says he needs to stay out of sight for a while, whatever the fuck that means. If you check in your guests and attend to them personally, you can earn tips for your good service. You start with a single room, so things are unfortunately a little rough in the beginning. Visitors will stay for a few real-time days, and once they check out, you need to housekeep, so go vacuum. You'll often run into familiar faces within the hotel, as many visitors will be repeat guests. There is, however, a guest that doesn't really check in or out. Frankie Facili, a mobster who gives you a call on the phone asking for a reservation. He tells you he's showing up in about 2 minutes and he'll be taking the penthouse. Upon his arrival, you'll be forced to let him check in for free, and he expects you to be very attentive. So attentive, in fact, that you'll need to give him 1,000 simoleons to fly his brother Jimmy the Neck into town. If you don't, well, things will stop breaking, real mysterious-like. Quests will often be received from guests, whether it's finding a lost item or getting rid of rats. Frankie's are a bit different, however. He gives you a taxidermy cow head full of explosives and tells you to deliver it to the mayor. You are an accessory to political crime. Mayor Jackson will accept this gift graciously, but you'll receive a phone call soon after letting you know that his office is on fire. So there's an ongoing coup plot in this game. Frankie is a large driving force for the first part of the game, assigning plenty of tasks and gently nudging you to improve your hotel. The quality of your establishment is determined by a percentage, which will go up as you make improvements. His first request is that you hike it up to 20%, but the game's main goal is to hit a lovely 100% hotel. The map of the game is incredibly little, with a few businesses in the square being all you've got. You have Mama Hog's Saloon, where you can sell gourds, do a little dance, and chat up the folks around you. You can also head over to the Strangetown store, where new furniture can be purchased with any spare money you have lying around. New items rotate in and out on a month-to-month basis. This guy is also freaky as fuck. Over by the desert, you can find some cows happily grazing and choose to tip or milk them. Once you get further into the game, these guys become a bit more important, but that's one thing I won't spoil for you. Occasionally, townsfolk that you've mingled with will give you a call on your phone. Most often, what they say to you is this: haha, skills are still a mechanic in this game, but instead of being earned through actions, they're earned by picking up skill points. Skill points appear at certain locations around the hotel at certain times, and they must be picked up by the player. The more you collect, the more your skills advance. Higher skill levels will be required to complete tasks as the game progresses, but other than that, it's kind of just a thing that's there. They can help you earn more simoleons in some cases, but you need them for plot progression more than anything. Frankie Facili is not the only big-ticket guest that arrives in Strangetown. A few others, namely Ava Cadavra and Optimum Alfred, will visit the hotel to give out some new quests. Threats will also be posed to your precious hotel at random intervals, including crime sprees, more alien invasions, and robot attacks. You're stuck in this desolate, tiny box of a map, building rooms and government science labs, apparently. Some of the mechanics are so painfully clunky. The animation glitches constantly, as I'm sure you've seen. The relationship aspect between Sims is abysmal. It's terrifying, it's uncomfortable, it's not that fun. It's a fever dream of a DS game, and I've played through it about 3 times now. It's so near and dear to my heart, and I love making fun of of it and pointing out all of the odd choices made by the developers. Is it enjoyable? Is it well made? No. Is it an experience you should have? Yes. I wish I had time today to go over every single questline, but I hope this gave you a taste of what The Sims 2 for the DS specifically has to offer, and maybe made you want to get your hands on it. It is 100% worth checking out, even if you just want to brag that you've played it. Just because it's awful doesn't mean you shouldn't check it out. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it at least a little bit. My lungs are killing me because the air quality is so awful right now, so I apologize for any hoarseness. You know, you don't smoke, you don't do anything, and yet the air quality fucking gets ya, huh? Thank you so much for your patience. Sorry this took so long to come out, and thank you so much to my members. I really appreciate you. Stay safe, stay wonderful, and goodbye.